ownership of this team, and how did you see the effect of that during this championship season?
Cooper Kupp is the Offensive Player of the Year and Super Bowl MVP. How much has he inspired you as a coach and a person?
So how would you describe this team with all the ups and downs that you guys have faced? It seems like a team of destiny and faith. Is that an accurate description?
Wondering if you could tell us what you know about Odell Beckham's knee injury.
So how does this feel finally getting to the mountaintop?
If you or your defensive coordinator tell you anything to your front seven in the halftime?
How does that feel to you now becoming a champion and then having teams model their game and their success after what you've done?
All right, 3 questions, my ass.
That was great. That was awesome. I wondered where we were going with that. I was very intrigued, and I was wishing I could read the mind of Sean McVay. They know who we mean. They know who we mean. Sean McVay during some of the questioning there at the post-Super Bowl press conference. I will say this. For a guy who likely didn't sleep at all before showing up for that on Monday morning, he looked pretty fresh. He looked like he was ready to go another 4 quarters, Charean.
I think he looks more fresh than you do, Mike, and I know you're tired.
Thanks. I am tired. It has been a weird couple of days. I know when I got back to my hotel room on Sunday night, Monday morning, whatever it was. I guess it was Sunday night Pacific, Monday morning East Coast. I just, like, my eyes were red, and I was just like, what in the hell is wrong with me? And then traveling yesterday, and I've taken 2 naps today of 90 minutes each. I don't think I've ever done that since I was a baby. So I am just doing my best to recover from what was a long week. But Sean McVay, maybe just still on raw adrenaline after winning a Super Bowl championship. He looked ready to go. He looked ready to get to work on number 2, assuming he stays for the pursuit of number 2.
Well, and that's what we'll find out, Mike. Is he going to stay around for 2022 to try to do it again? He's got his 1. Is that enough for Sean McVay?
He uttered the magic words, we'll see. Look, if there's nothing to this chatter that has emanated in recent days, you say, what are you talking about? Of course, it's back to work. # no days off. Let's go have the parade, and then we get back to work, and we try to get to number 2. We're trying to build something here like what the New England Patriots built. And we've seen in the past few years how intensely difficult it is to get to the Super Bowl, to win the Super Bowl. What the Patriots did, winning 6 in 20 years, is beyond remarkable. But if this wasn't an issue, you don't say, we'll see. You say, are you nuts? Of course. I'm a football coach. I coach football. I'm only 36. I'm going to do this for 36 more years. Let's go. Let's keep swinging the axe. Let's keep going. We'll see means maybe we won't be back. And look, Charean, I don't want to be overly cynical, but this is a big business. It keeps getting larger and larger, and he works for the richest owner in the sport, and it's time for Sean McVay to get compensated accordingly. So either Stan Kroenke, the owner of the Rams, pays Sean McVay what he now is worth, and as I've said all year long, $33.5 million. Jared Goff or Bill Belichick, take your pick. I'm taking Bill Belichick for $33.5 million. And Belichick's around $25 million, which makes him a huge bargain in comparison to a guy like Jared Goff. It's either going to be that, or I think the message is clear. If there's a network out there that wants him, put your offer together, put it on the table, and you know what? Yeah, there's a chance he's going to shop it back to his owner. How can you blame him? What do you expect Stan Kroenke to do? ESPN or Amazon or whoever. Do you expect Sean McVay to say, you make me a big offer, and I'm just automatically taking it without seeing whether or not my current employer is going to be moved by that? Sometimes, if you want to shoot your shot, you got to be willing to be in a spot where the guy who's currently asleep at the wheel in Stan Kroenke wakes up when Sean McVay gets offered $15 to $20 million a year to go call games and work a hell of a lot less than he currently is. Will Stan Kroenke say, all right, I'll give you $25 million a year? Or will Stan Kroenke say, all right, fine, I'll just elevate Raheem Morris? I mean, you can't expect Sean McVay to not see if that offer changes Stan Kroenke's mind. But I think that's exactly what needs to happen, Charean. If a network wants him, put your offer on the table, and then Sean McVay will most likely point it out to Stan Kroenke and see what he does. And there's nothing wrong with that.
And you know what changed everything, Mike, is these college football salaries that we just saw go through the roof. And a lot of these public universities have to tell you what they pay their football coach because of state laws, obviously. So we know what a lot of these college coaches are making. And I will guarantee you there are a lot of NFL coaches who are not making as much as some of these college coaches. And we're going to see the salaries of NFL coaches rise because of this. There's no question about that. I guess my question about Sean McVay is it a money issue or is it a burned out issue? And I don't know that we're ever going to see another Tom Landry, Don Shula, Bill Belichick. Belichick's probably the last of these guys. Maybe Tomlin stays around. But the pressure and the pressure that goes along with that money, Mike, just burns these guys out. And it's become a 24/7, 365-day-a-year job. And it wasn't always like that. You think back to the Landry days and the Shula days. Those players didn't work out in the offseason. They had second jobs. They had to go teach school or do whatever they did, sell insurance in the offseason. So there wasn't the constant grind of 365 days for those coaches like there is now. There wasn't the social media. There wasn't the media attention, just everything that goes with it. So I guess that's the question that Sean McVay has to answer at 36 years old. Is it a money issue? Do I just want more money to make this worth my while? Or am I burned out? Do I want to go do TV and make a heck of a lot of money, maybe more money even than I would in coaching, and not have to put in those full hours every single day of the year? And that's what he has to ask himself, I guess, at this point. And I guess the other question, Mike, is do the Rams have a chance to do this long term with their cap problems, with not having first round picks? Or is this one and done for this team? The Patriots showed they're the last team to do it 20 years ago to win back-to-back Super Bowls. But it's hard to win one. It's harder to win back-to-back Super Bowls.
Well, Sean McVay spoke last week about the importance of the work-family balance. He's going to be married. Yeah. He wants to have kids. He's going to have a wife who has a say in whether or not he continues to work the way that he has. Gone before the crack of dawn, home late at night, consumed by what he's doing, and necessarily irritated by all the things that fall out of his control. I think great head coaches put everything they have into it, work and work and work, look for details, look for any edge, look for anything, any strategy, any play, any this, any that, anything that can help the team win, and understand at the end of the day it comes down to how that weirdly misshapen ball bounces, how the wind blows, how an official does or doesn't do his or her job properly. All sorts of things beyond the effort put in by the coach. The effort put in by the coach is the minimum just to get you at the table, to put you in a position to potentially be successful, to get to the top. You need a lot of things to go your way that you have no control over. And it could be that he realizes, I've climbed the mountain, I've spent my years as a coach, I've won my Super Bowl, and now I move on. And whether it's 10 years, 15 years, I mean, hell, he could go have a couple of kids, wait for them to get out of high school, and then come back and coach and be younger than me, which is extremely depressing. But he could do all that and make a hell of a lot of money along the way and come back and coach and call a shot like John Gruden did. Now, I don't know how long you're out of it before you're out of it. But one of the arguments Gruden made when he returned to the Raiders after the 2017 season was, I've been in all the facilities. I talked to all the people. I mean, that's the thing. If you're actively still in the game, you know what's going on. You know what the trends are. You're ready to jump back in. And the question becomes, when does that fire draw him back in to the flame? And he could stay out between 10 and 20 years and still constantly be mentioned. You know, if he doesn't close the door on the way out, he would constantly be a guy that we look at, or just say, we know it's going to be 10 or 15 years from now. And then, unlike a Bill Cowher who was on the A-list and then just kind of gradually slid away from it when it was clear he wasn't come back, and even Gruden did that too before Mark Davis decided he had to have him. McVay could be a guy that we just accept is going to do this for a generation or thereabouts and then come back. And if we know that going in, we know when he starts to creep back up into the conversation as the kids get older, as he gets older, as he crosses the 50 frontier, then maybe that's when he starts thinking about coming back. There's nothing wrong with that. Ultimately, he's got to do what he wants to do. And if it were me, and this isn't a lazy thing, if I can get as much money and still be relevant and significant in my industry and work a hell of a lot less, I'm at least going to consider it, Charean.
Oh, you have to, Mike, especially if, like him, you want to have a family and you've talked about that and you want to have time with your kids and see them grow up and all those things. I mean, it's hard to do that as a coach. There's certain coaches who have succeeded doing that. I'll never forget Tony Dungy telling him, some of his staff, to go home. I know Bruce Arians does it. Go home, go see your kid play. Sean Payton took private planes back to DFW to see his son play on Friday nights. But it's an awful hard thing to do when you're in this business, the grind of it. And we know coaches sleep at the facility some and all the time they put into it. It's time away from your family, and that's just really, really hard. So maybe he just needs a break. And like you said, he goes and does TV, and maybe he gets the itch again 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever it is. If he's staying in the booth and being in these team facilities and talking to players and knows the game's not going to pass him by. He's only 36 now, so he has a chance to go do something else and still come back if that's what he decides he wants to do into the future.
You know, we didn't see much of him. We didn't hear much from him in that press conference on Monday, but he did seem like a guy who has had the weight lifted off of his shoulders, who has dialed back that kind of frenetic, and I've kind of joked about this in the past, but it's also kind of serious, that very high-level monotone, that you know, he's always on, there's no up or down, and it's always on extra high intensity, the way that he speaks. I feel like that edge is off a little bit now that he's won his Super Bowl, and maybe he can make some important decisions. He'll still do extremely well financially. He'll be able to enjoy his family. He can find a sweet spot where, and if he's good, we assume he's going to be good. That's the thing. You know, eventually there's going to be a Bill Walsh or a Joe Montana that goes to TV and we're like, oh my God, they suck, right? It's possible that's going to happen. Yeah. We don't think it'll be Sean McVay. But one of these guys is going to be as bad as Walsh and Montana were. And I'm sorry. I don't know if people were like, oh, how dare you. They were both horrible in TV. Horrible. Yeah. Right. Now, Emmett I think Emmett could have been good if they would have worked with him to better produce to his strengths. Because I love talking to Emmitt Smith. I just don't think you can throw Emmitt Smith into the deep end of the pool and say swim. I think you need to work with Emmett. You need to use him for specific things because he can be very good if you produce him properly. If he was produced properly, he would have been really good. But I'm talking about game analyst in the booth. Walsh and Montana were horrible, and I mean, who knows? Maybe Sean McVay will be bad too. But hey, he can always come back to coaching if it turns out that people aren't happy with what he's getting for his $15 to $20 million per year. So as of right now, is Sean Payton standing on the sideline week one, or is he jacket and tie in a booth calling a game week one?
Okay, wait, you said Sean Payton. I think you mean Sean McVay again, right?
Sean McVay. I'm getting my Seans mixed up. Hey, well, why don't you go by your middle name, please, so I will have an easier time. Sean McVay. Sorry, that's the second time I did it today. One of the Seans, the little Sean. Will little Sean, not big Sean, will little Sean be coaching her in the booth?
I think we're going to see Sean Payton in a studio booth. I don't think we're going to see him as an analyst. I think we see Sean Payton there. But Sean McVay, I think he comes back for another season, Mike. He knows how special a team can be that wins back-to-back titles and then maybe walks away after next season. He does have 2 years left in that deal. And if I'm Stan Kroenke, I go to him and I say, hey, if you don't want to extend your deal, let me give you more money and we'll make this worth your while. But come back and try to get those back-to-back titles. And I think he does that. But, you know, you talked about the we'll see. He also said it's definitely easier to leave after a title. So that told me, like you said, he could have put this to bed, and he didn't put it to bed. He didn't say, no, absolutely not. I'm not thinking about doing something else. I'm going to come back and I'm going to coach and try to get the back. So there is some doubt there, but I'm going to go with he's going to be back for one more year to try to get the back-to-back titles.
By the way, there already is both a Little Sean and a Big Sean in a different industry altogether. So we could go with that. I think moving forward, I'm just going to call Sean McVay Little Sean and Sean Payton Big Sean, so I don't ever confuse them again. So Little Sean on the sidelines and maybe Big Sean in the booth. Although I have a feeling that Big Sean's going to end up in a studio out of the gates. What do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. Agree with that. I think he ends up in the studio, and I think he comes back to coaching within 2 years. I think Sean Payton is back on the sideline in a year or two because he's going to get that itch far quicker, I think, than Sean McVay would get it if he sat out.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.